My name is Mick Taylor and I've been playing the guitar for 42 years. I can't recall a specific moment of first seeing a guitar because there were guitars in my house right from the get-go. But I have heard it said, my mum and dad both tell me that it was Elvis. That changed everything. Specific memories, don't really start happening until you're a bit older as a child, but there is a particular photograph that shows me holding a guitar the wrong way around, holding it left-handed, a little plastic guitar that parents bought me when I was 2 years old. And the story goes that after hearing Elvis, I think it was on the radio or seeing him on TV or something like that, I strum the plastic guitar, it's not in tune, and I smash it up. My dad figured out that if he tuned it to a chord, I wouldn't smash it. I guess as you go through your childhood, the thing that sticks out most was probably getting a first electric guitar. So there was always, like a nylon string or a cheap steel string acoustic kicking around the house because my dad played and my brother would bash away on the guitar. But then I think they realized that I was kind of into it. So one day, I think it probably was a Christmas, a K brand SG copy turned up in the house. And what I remember about that is taking it into primary school. You were allowed to take things in some days and talk about the things you were interested in. I would have been 8 or 9 years old. And what I remember about that day isn't the guitar so much. I remember the reaction of the other kids in school. 43 years after that, I guess my relationship with guitar has changed in every way possible. The core attraction to the thing as an object doesn't change because I've been fascinated by it as an object, and that's, defined everything I've done work-wise. Personal relationship with it has changed massively because it's the tool by which I gain income, but not as a musician. So you do have a complex relationship with this thing that started as a hobby, became profession, and now is kind of both of those things. I think there's a distinction to be drawn between the guitar as an object and the guitar as a tool, and the guitar as a conduit, right? So it fulfills all of those functions. So for me, it starts as an object. Look at this guitar, this actual guitar. It was designed in 1954, right? So think of a car or a piece of household goods or a person who is over 60 years old, and look at them, and then look at this. It's still the most modern thing in the world ever. So I think I've always been fascinated by the object value of guitars. We just look at them as incredible objects. Add to that then their iconography, which is whenever I look at a guitar, I still see Jimmy Page, I still see Jimi Hendrix, I still see Eric Clapton in icon form. So guitar plus musician equals icon, and that creates this amazing desire, and I still have that, right? But as with everything in life, yin and yang. So that's one side of it. That's the wonder. That's the object value. The other side of it is it's a tool. It's a tool that pays my mortgage, and I am in this ridiculously privileged position of having played pretty much every decent type of guitar there is that's ever existed in vintage and modern form, having met most of the modern guitar makers, having been around most of the modern guitar factories. So I have this level of insight to the thing on a very nuts and bolts level, which does knock some of that romanticism off a bit. So my relationship with it day to day is, it's as permanent a fixture in day-to-day life for me as the dog, my wife, my car. Guitar is everywhere. It's weird being known for guitar without actually being an artist or a guitar player, because I came up through guitar journalism on magazines. That was my first ever proper salaried job. As magazines started to die, it was the obvious thing to go onto YouTube. And then you have a different relationship because the relationship becomes three-way. Like if you play guitar as an enthusiast, your relationship is you and guitar. Dan and I, and latterly I, occupy this space online where that becomes a three-way relationship. It's you, the guitar, and everyone else on the planet watching YouTube. That can be challenging because it is a great test of ego. I've become extremely interested in ego and all manner of psychology and philosophy over the last 10 years after a fairly serious exploration into my own level of mental health. And it has changed fundamentally the way I see the guitar. Why do you play guitar in the first place? Because it's cool, because it makes you feel cool, because people like you. Why do you start a YouTube channel? Because you have a degree of wanting to be liked. And that really bites you in the arse when you realize that a great deal of the world actually don't like you. And you have to get over that, and you have to get over the ego of going, yeah, this is what I do, and I'm confident about it, and I'm real about it, and it comes from a place of integrity. And I would say that in my earlier life, earlier as I experienced it, guitar was all about ego. It was all about, yeah, have a look at that, mate, you know, and trying to be great and considering yourself as better or worse than other players, and always having this level of comparison going on. All of that is ego. And then as you move along a little bit in life, and maybe if you ask yourself some difficult questions, you realize, if I take the ego out of it, or if I endeavor to take the ego out of it, what's left? Do I still want to play this thing? Does it still mean anything to me? Have I got anything to say? Guitar has obviously had a major influence in the way life has evolved as I experience it, because it's been at the center of every salaried job I've ever had, ever since I was 22, 23 years old, but much earlier than that, you know. So my best friend Steve, who was a neighbor, we got into guitar together. We met our other best friend Paul. He had a video cassette player, which no one had at the time. They had videos of Eric Clapton and Dire Straits and stuff that you just couldn't see. Paul's dad actually bought him a subscription to Guitarist magazine. You know, you couldn't see this stuff. So right from the get-go, you know, as an enthusiast, and then all of a sudden to have this incredible piece of happenstance, this amazing bit of luck, right place, right time. Oh, look, I've got a job on a guitar magazine. My whole life involved guitars, or at least life as I experienced it involved guitars. And then somehow managed to maintain that all the way through. I'm 51 years old, and I've never done anything but earn money out of guitar. Brief dalliance with mountain bikes, but, you know, that wasn't my fault. What guitar means to me has changed greatly. It's a bit like saying, what does air mean to you? Because you don't think about what air means to you, you just breathe it every day, right? And you take it for granted. And because I'm in the sort of privileged position that I'm in, guitar is that. It's my job, it's my day-to-day life. It's everywhere. One of the great dangers psychologically and philosophically is becoming attached to things in thought and form, right? So you say, guitar defines me, or guitar is what I am, or it's a huge part of who I am, you know, all those sort of statements. I've recently been working on a different way of thinking about everything, not just guitar, about life, in a different state of consciousness, where it's a mistake to let things define you. Once you start saying I, me, and mine, the world suddenly gets very small and you think you're at the center of it. To say I am trying is a bit of a Yoda moment, isn't it? It's like do or do not, there is no try. You just have to do, and what I am doing is thinking about all of that stuff less, because you drive yourself around the bend, and instead being in the moment with playing, being in the moment with what it is you're trying to say, and being in the moment with music remains the most important thing. It doesn't stop me looking at the Strat and going, that is literally the coolest thing ever invented, ever. Doesn't stop me thinking like that, but I'm endeavoring to remove the guitar from who I am, because it's not who you are. It's just something that you do. And if you do it with integrity, and you do it from the heart, and you do it in the moment, and you have something to say, that's when it means something. It doesn't really matter what it means to you. What matters is the communication you have with the world. whether you can get some flow going. That's what I'm interested in now. The guitar has consistently been the thing that's caused me the most crises of existential question, if you like, because I think because I was so connected with it and I thought it's what I was, if there then happens to be some dysfunction with it, i.e. you don't think you're very good, you're getting to compare yourself with people who are, so say, better, etc., and all of that, you can really cause problems. I distinctly remember Ed O'Brien from Radiohead coming on the show, and I think maybe 2 days after I went away for my birthday to Spain, and spent that whole birthday in a state of pretty serious depression. And I just thought, there's no point me playing this thing anymore. It's completely pointless to carry on. I have nothing to say. Which, of course, is a moment of extreme ego. So I'm the opposite. I don't know that guitar has ever brought me solace or happiness or anything like that. I actually think it's the other way around. I think you bring joy to it. And that's the same with whatever you do. If you bring joy when you play, and I do think that involves other people, I think it's very hard to enjoy as a solo pursuit, just personally speaking. If you bring joy in your playing, through your playing, and you're conscious and present in the moment of doing that, some good flow happens in the world. Yeah, I have had many moments of wanting to stop playing guitar. The last one, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where again, it's ego, right? It is ego. The minute you compare yourself to anybody, whether you think you're worse or whether you think you're better, or whether you think there's no point, it's pure ego, right? And by ego, I mean, for me, ego means, and this is Eckhart Tolle's description, not mine, a dysfunctional relationship with the present moment. Because what is, and you can either accept it or you can change it. If you start arguing with the present moment by saying things like, oh, you know, I'm just not good enough and I can't carry on doing this because there's no point because I've got nothing to say. That's identification with a thought in your head. That's pure insanity. So you have to get over all of that. But I have done it frequently. I mentioned Ed O'Brien earlier. After that, I genuinely wanted to give up. 3 weeks ago, I said to Dan and Catherine, I'm done. I just don't want to play the guitar anymore. And then you go out and you do a couple of gigs. You play Highway to Hell in a cover band, and you remember what it is about it that keeps you doing it, and you learn a bit. And increasingly, you'll start to observe an ebb and flow of how you feel about playing and how you feel about guitar and whether you want the responsibility of it, right? And as time goes on, you sort of learn to ignore it, accept it as a constant in your life, and accept it as something that if you bring joy to it, that's why you do it. Accept the present moment for what it is, pick up the guitar, or don't, but stop thinking about it and stop worrying about it. There are many days where the sole reason I keep playing is because I have to, because it pays the bills. That's the yin. And the yang is, you just get these consistent moments of clarity where you have a moment of flow and of realization. And it could be something really tiny. It could literally be a bit of vibrato at the top of a note, or the particular way a treble comes through in a chord, or particular level of harmony and dissonance in a chord, or whatever it might be. And you think, yeah, that's the magic, because it is a moment of flow. I don't think music and art exists in thought. I don't think you can conceptualize it. I don't think if you're thinking about music, it's not music anymore. It's a thought process about music. Music, playing, art, science, manufacturing, it doesn't matter what it is. When it's happening in a moment of flow and there's no thought given, that's where the magic is, that's where life is. And once you start to understand that that's where the life is, it's easier to get there. Stop worrying about what other people think, which of course is part of the human condition. We all worry about what people think all the time. But if you can get rid of that and you can say, not I don't care what you think, but I don't mind what you think. If you like it, I don't mind. If you don't like it, I don't mind. But crucially, do I like it? Is there something here that is worth saying? Have the confidence to say what you want to say through this thing. Why guitar? Oh God, it sounds a bit overblown, but it kind of chose me, right? Not necessarily sure that I chose it. The iconography, the object value of it, all these things that we can explain in words are only signposts to what goes on cognitively, physiologically, neurologically when you're drawn to a guitar or music or any object. Some of you people probably feel like that about golf clubs. It just is. I can't say it any better than that. Guitar just is. Smashed.